Okay. Good morning. We're going to start today Mem Dalet Amud Beis. No, not Mem Dalet Amud Beis. I'm sorry.
No, that's right.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Thank you. It's good you're here, Reb Naftali. Mem Dalet Amud
Good
Beis.
morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Yitzi wants to know how the fast is going so far.
Everybody okay?
Okay. Okay. We're going to start at the Mishnah. It's the second line from the top. This is one of these more difficult Gemaras. Easy to learn, easy to lose the crowd Gemaras. Let me tell you the introduction. I'm going to have to look at some psukim before we even start. Let's go to Parshas Emor. Parshas Emor, which says, right back to the. Oh, sort of. Yeah. We back. Finished with the tzitzis and the tefillin. Okay, so this is talking about counting the Omer in the festival of Shavuos, festival of weeks. That's in this. I'm reading from this chumash over here. It says from the day following the first rest day of Passover, Spartan Machzor Shabbos, should count 7 weeks. Okay, you bring a mincha chadasha. It says Mimosh Veisechem, from the places where you live, which means in Eretz Yisrael, you'll bring bread that is designated for a higher purpose. Lachem Nufa. Oh, really? That's how they translate that. Shtayim Shnei Esrenim Selos Tiana. 2 loaves made from 2/10 of an ephah. It's called the Shtei Halechem. And Shnei Esrenim Tiana Chametz Teyafena Bikram Lashem. They're leavened, the first meal for Hashem. Now, get ready. V'kraftem alalachem shivas kvasim tamimim. It says you should offer in association with the bread 7 perfect, unblemished lambs in their first year, 1 young bull, and 2 rams. You have to see the Hebrew. Shivas kvasim tamimim, 7 what are they called here? Lambs, 7 lambs, and b'nei shana. Par ben bakar echad, 1 bull. Here it says 1 young bull. Beilim shnayim, and 2 rams. Then it also says that you should also offer up 1. What are these called? 1 second. These are called a fire offering, a pleasant aroma to God. These are all oila. These are all burnt offerings. The shivas kvasim, the par ben bakar, and the elim shnayim, the 2 rams. All of these are oilas. Then it says you bring a goat for a chatas, and you bring shnei kvasim, 2 lambs in the first year as a shlamim. It says the kohen should wave the 2 lambs with the meal offering of bread as they wave an offering before God, and this should be done while the 2 lambs are still alive. Unlike a normal peace offering, which have less degree of holiness, they will be holy to God, belong to the priest. Okay, this is the contrast between this and the regular shlamim is that the regular shlamim they wave the chazer b'shaik after it's slaughtered, and here you're waving the lambs that are alive. Okay, we're not done. Let's go to Chumash Hapikudim, which is called Sefer Bamidbar. Go to Parshas Pinchas. Here we have B'yom HaBikurim. This is in Parshas Pinchas. When you bring on the festival of weeks, the day of the first fruits. When you offer a meal offering to God from the new crops of wheat, you will have a holy celebration. You will not perform any manual labor. Okay, get ready. V'kraftem oila l'reach nichayach la'Hashem. You'll bring for an oila. Take a look at this. Parim b'nei bakar shnayim. 2 bulls. Ayal echad and 1 ram. The opposite from what we said in in Emma. That I found a mistake. Even the rabbis didn't catch.
Wow. Stumped the
The rabbis did catch it.
Stumped the
Okay.
rabbi.
So we'll see in the Gemara. And then it says 7 lambs b'nei shana. Okay, then it says there's a mincha that's brought along with it. Chasam says Yisar Nisan lakav shivas hakvasim. Okay, and then it says series of echad lechatas echad lechaper alechem. Okay, that we have the goat that we knew about before. Okay, let's go to the Mishnah. So are we on top of the page or are we on the second Mishnah? We're on the top of the page? Oh, I gave you a whole introduction for the second Mishnah. Okay, we'll go through the top and then we have the introduction ready for the next Mishnah. Okay. Selas, the Mishnah says like this. This was not the hard Gemara. The next Gemara is the hard Gemara. Okay. It says Selas v'Hashemen. If a person is bringing a minchas nesachim, this is the flour and the wine that he brings for together with the carbon. So you bring flour and oil together with the carbon. So haselas v'Hashemen ein ma'akvin esayayin. That does not affect the wine. In other words, ein ma'akvin means it's not essential. It means that if you have one, you don't have the other. It's perfectly fine. And the wine isn't ma'ak them. When a person is doing the carbon chatas and he has to apply the blood to all four corners, not like by the other karbanos where you do shtayim shein arba, but by chatas you have to put it on each corner. It says nevertheless, if it's on the outer mizbeach, ein makav zu, those matanos are not makav one another. Okay. Rabbanan. It says in the pasuk, minchasam, that means the flour offering. B'niskayim means in the libations, which means havi mincha, v'achakach havi nesachim. What comes first? First you do the flour, like it says in the pasuk. Then afterwards you bring the nesachim, which would be the oil and the wine. Rabbi Yomer, Rabbi says, zebach nesachim. The pasuk says the carbon and the nesachim, which means first come the liquid, first comes the sacrifice and then the liquid. Habi zebach, v'achakach havi nesachim. And only afterwards you'll bring the flour. Here the question is, does the flour come before the wine and oil, or does the flour come after the wine and oil? It's a machlekes. Tanakama holds minchasim and eskem flour first, and Rebbe says flour second. Rebbe Nami, what does Rebbe do with the psukim? Aksiv minchasim and eskem. It says first the flour and then the wine and oil. He says that's teaching me something else. That's coming to tell me that the flour and the other things you could bring at night. Those, in other words, if it wasn't brought together with the sacrifice, you could still bring it at night. And you can even bring it tomorrow. We learned you can even bring it 10 days later, right? Okay. Bananami, according to the Rabbanan, Aksiv Zevach and Nesachim. According to the Rabbanan, what do they do with the pasuk that says that first goes the sacrifice and then goes the wine and oil? According to the Rabbanan, they said that first you do the flour, then the wine and oil. What do they do with the pasuk that says sacrifice, wine and oil? And then the pasuk seems to say that the flour you bring later. It says, they need that for what? Zeiri taught. Zeiri is a first generation. Amayra Damar Zeiri. Ein hanesachim miskadshim ela b'shchitas hazevach. That what consecrates the nesachim, the slaughtering of the sacrifice. Which means that until you slaughter the sacrifice, the wine and oil is not designated for the sacrifice. You can actually end up using it for another sacrifice. And until the sacrifice is slaughtered, it's interchangeable. Rebbe Nami, what does Rebbe do? Zevach nesachim, what Zeiri teaches, he also needs that. For Zeiri, that's an important halacha. You see, Rebbe was using this to tell me the order of that the flour comes later, but meanwhile you need the pasuk to teach me that it could be interchanged for another sacrifice. Rabbanan nami mibaylu leminchasim eskem balayla minchasim eskem afilu mach. What did the Rabbanan do? That with the pasuk that Rebbe was using to teach me that you can bring the nesachim not together with the sacrifice, you can bring it later, they can bring it at night or tomorrow. The Rabbanan also need to say that. Elahainu time with the Rabbanan, we're going to jump to another pshat. The reason for the Rabbanan is the ksiv oila umincha. It says oila and then mincha, which means that first you do the oila, the sacrifice, and then you bring the mincha, which is the meal offering, and only afterwards you bring the nesachim. Yeah, that was the machlekes. The Rabbanan say sacrifice, flour, and then libations. And so where do we know that from? Now we're switching. We're saying we know it from olam. Problem is, we didn't answer the question that what does Rebbe do? How does he know that it's sacrifice and then libations? The pasuk that he was learning from, which says zebach and nesachim, that we're learning for Zeiri, that tells me that it's interchangeable until the zebach is brought. Okay, we didn't answer that. Rebbe Nami, what does Rebbe do with the pasuk that the Chachamim just introduced? Haksiv Eilo Mincha, which means first is the meal offering right after the sacrifice. So the Gemara answers, Ela beboyim imazevach the kol yam leiplig the mincha v'achach nesachim. You're right. If there's a sacrifice being brought now, and you're bringing these libations and things and the flour together with the sacrifice, then everyone agrees that first comes the mincha and afterwards comes the nesachim. The ksiv Eilo mincha. Sacrifice mincha. When there's a machlekes Rebbe and the Chachamim, this is only if these other things are coming on their own, because the sacrifice could be brought earlier and this could be brought later. So when these are being brought on their own, the machlekes what comes first. Rabbanan savri midaboim emazevach mincha v'achkach nesachim. Just like when you bring together with the sacrifice first, you bring the sacrifice, then you bring the flour, then you bring the wine and oil. So too, but b'fnei atzmanami mincha v'achkach nesachim. First comes the carbon mincha, the flour, then the wine and oil. And Rebbe says hasam, who the idea aschal b'achila gamal kula milsa da'achila. Over there, when you're talking about food, eating, so then we started with the sacrifice, which is meat, which that's eaten. So we continue with the eating, which is the flour, and then afterwards you have the drinking. Aval b'fnei atzman, but if they're coming on their own, nesachim adife. So the drinking comes first. Hayel the misamra shira alayo. Since song is said over the wine, wine is more significant. We're not dealing with eating. So then, if it's just a choice of wine and flour, then wine comes first.
Mm.
The song means the Levium would sing specifically at the time of the pouring of the wine. Sacrifice a permitter. No one's saying to bring them before the sacrifice. Right? Everyone's saying the sacrifice comes first. The question is the flour before the wine, or is the wine before the flour? Right? Yeah. Okay. We said that by a carbon chatas, even though it says that's 4 applications, but nevertheless it's not makiv. Even if you did one, it's good enough. It says Tanar Rabbanan Minayin.
I'm sorry, Hilo's question. Are you thinking about the tzrika? That was when we used to talk about the tzrika and mitzvahs being. What is it?
Okay. Okay. No, we learned that you can bring it 10 days later.
Terrible. You can't even spell my name right.
I was nothing behind me. They didn't bring the 10 days, they have to start again.
No. I don't know if that 10 days was a limit. I think 10 days was a.
That's filling in like
10 days was just an example. You said even 10 days, right? Okay. Korban's kasha without these things. Right? Tanu Rabbana minayin l'chol anitanu mazbeach chitzim shasim b'tana achas shekiper. We went in the brisa that how do we know that for all applications on the mizbeach hachitzim that are brought, one application is done, that it's already an atonement, even if you don't finish all of them. Nemar, it says in the pasuk, "B'dam zevachecha yishafech al mizbach Hashem lekecha." Mashma, it is implied that the blood of the sacrifice is poured on the altar. It sounds like even one application is good enough. That's what it sounds like from the pasuk. It says yishafech.
July 1.
Param Elam Akvasim, the new Mishnah. Param Elam Akvasim. Now we're going to the karbanos that we were mentioning before, and we're going to see it again in a moment. Next page. So these are it says parim, the bulls, the elim, the rams, and the lambs, the kvasim. It's interesting. It adds in v'hasi'irim. But that's not so clear that it's supposed to be there. You see the word v'hasi'irim in parentheses? There's a problem with that v'hasi'irim because the Gemara is not going to really discuss the se'irim. But I noticed in the notes that there was a rashash that says the word se'irim is supposed to stay there.
Whoa.
Okay, whatever the case is, if you have some, you don't have the other ones, it's not a problem. You'd bring whatever you got.
Excuse me, what's serum?
Serum are the goats. The goats for the chatas. The other ones are oilas. So if you say einamakam zesa, whichever ones you have is good. Now, it's interesting because it says parim and elim. So now I don't know what the pasuk is referring to, what the Mishnah is referring to. Is it referring to the ones of Chumash Apikudim, which is the ones in Parshas Pinchas? Then it should not say Elim, it should say Vaha'ayal. If it's talking about the ones in Parshas Emor, then it shouldn't be saying Parim, it should say Hapar. Okay, whatever the case is. Reb Shimon Aimer, Im Hayol Lehem, Parim Merubim, V'lai Hayol Lehem, Nesachim, Yavi Parechad and Nesachim, V'lai Yikravu Kulam, V'lai Nesachim. Shimon says that if they had a lot of parim, but they didn't have enough funds to buy the nesachim, then you bring the par with the nesachim that's available, and you don't bring all of them without the nesachim. Okay. Let's take a look at the Gemara. Ani parim mukvasim dehecha. When it says
So, did they learn that from the other pasuk? Because it's a par there that you didn't have parim. You should start with a parim.
Oh, that I don't think so. I think there's other sources for this. It says Hani parim mukvasim dehecha. When we're talking about over here, the parim, the bulls and the lambs, which one are we talking about? We didn't mention about the elim. If we're talking about Sukkot, because we also brought on Sukkot, parim and kvasim, it says kamishbatam ksiv bahu. It says in the pasuk kamishbatam has to be according to their law. That was according to, when it says the word. There's a few words that means that it's ma'akiv. It says chuka means ma'akiv, right? When it says hayu, it means it's ma'akiv. It says bahaviyasim, it has to be exact. Another one is kamishbatam or kamishbat, has to be according to the law. It says that it has to be according to the law. That means it would be ma'akiv. Yeah, Taisus mentions on the first day it doesn't say kamishbat or kamishbatam, but it says yiyu, which is also ma'akiv. Okay, so it can't be sukkos because the law wouldn't apply to them. Ela deresh chaydesh ba'atzeres techumash apikudim. It must be that we're talking about Rosh Chodesh or Shavuos Atzeres. We're talking about the karbanos of Chumash HaPikudim, of the Karban Musaf, which is spoken about in Parshas Pinchas. And Elim Dehecha says, which rams are they? Idahanu, if we're talking about the ones of Chumash HaPikudim, so the Ayilhu, it's only one ram. We asked, right? We didn't say Elim. Elim is a plural of rams. There's only one ram. So Vida Atzeres the Teres Kayanim, and if we're talking about the karbanos that it says in Parshas Emar, which we also had very similar, 7 lambs, but over there was only 1 bull and 2 rams. If you want to satisfy the rams, which you go back to Parshas Emar, the Teres Kayanim it's called. Teres Kayanim means Leviticus, right? Which is Parshas Emar is in the Sefer of Teres Kayanim, right? The Svarim of the Torah have different names. We call them Bereishis Shmais V'Yikra B'Midbar Dvarim, but the
Welcome to Daf Yomi.
in the Chazal they have different names. So B'Midbar is called Numbers, Chumash HaPikudim, that's what Chazal call it, and Vayikra is called Teres Kayanim. Idol worshippers copied the name Numbers.
They call it
Oh, okay. They base it on the way we call it. That's okay. Okay. Bidat Tzeres, the Teres Kayanim. If we're talking about Shavuos, that it speaks about in Parshas Emar, then Havaya Ksivu. But over there it says Yiyu Oila Hashem. It says Yiyu. That means it has to be. That means it's Ma'akiv. So you would have satisfied the Elim, but you don't satisfy the whole law that we just said that it's not Ma'akiv. So the Gemara says Lo'ilam. The Atzeres, the Teres Kayanim. Actually, we're talking about the Shavuos karbanos that it speaks about in Parshas Emar. Vachi Kamar, and this is what it means. Loi Elim the Teres Kayanim Makvilu le'ayel the Chumash HaPikudim le'ayel the Chumash HaPikudim ma'akiv le'ayel the Chumash ma'akiv lehu le'elim Teres Kayanim. What we don't mean is that they're not ma'akiv each other. They're ma'akiv each other because it says Yiyu. What we mean is that the karbanos of Parshas Emar are not ma'akiv the karbanos of Parshas Pinchas. Yeah, in Parshas Emar, there were two rams, and in Parshas Pinchas there's only 1 ram. So the 2 rams of Parshas Emar aren't ma'akiv the 1 ram of Parshas Pinchas. No, same festival. Yeah, that's why it's confusing. If it's 2 different holidays, this would not be an issue. The reason why this is confusing is because we have the list of sacrifices of Shavuos in Parshas Pinchas different than in Parshas Emar, which means the Gemara's understanding that it's not a discrepancy in the list. It's 2 different lists. One comes together with the loaves of bread. The other one is a Karban Musaf. So 7 rams. You're doing 7 rams twice. At least 7 lambs twice. Possibly. We'll see if that's actually accurate. Ella, the Gemara says, Parim, Dafilu Adadi Lai Makvi, Velam Dahachu Lai Makvi, Inu Makvi. So it says like this. It says Parim. What are we talking about over here? We're talking about the rams of Emar are not ma'akiv the ones of Parshas Pinchas, right? The regular the sacrifice that comes together with the bread is not ma'akiv the Karban Musaf. Gemara says. So what we're saying is that Parim the afilu adadi lai ma'akvi. If we go to Parshas Pinchas, over there it doesn't say that the parim are ma'akiv each other. In Parshas Pinchas it says, "V'kraftem oila Hashem, v'kraftem oila l'reich nichach Hashem, parim b'nei vakar shnai melch v'ayel echad shiva kvasim b'nei shana, m'nchasim v'neskem." It doesn't say yiyu or kamishpatam, so which means that they're not ma'akiv each other. So parim Da'afilu adadi lay ma'akvi, ve'elim dahacha hud lay ma'akvi. Aval inu ma'akvi. The parim of themselves are not ma'akiv each other. There were two over here, right? Two parim. The bulls. They're not ma'akiv each other. And the rams, what we wanted to say about the rams is that the rams of, we're saying that the rams of Parshas Emor are not ma'akiv the rams of Parshas Pinchas. So it's coming out that the way we're going to read the Mishnah, it's going to be a little strange because the parim, elim, and kvasim, the parim we're talking about, where do we find parim? Not in Parshas Emor. We only find parim in Parshas Pinchas. Now the parim in Parshas Pinchas, you could bring one without the other. Elim, where do we find elim? Not in Parshas Pinchas. There's only one aisle. To go back to Parshas Emor, and over there we have two elim, two rams. So we said that 1 second, but in Parshas Emor the rams are ma'akiv each other because it says yiyu, right? So it can't be. It says havaya. It says yiyu oil Hashem. So it can't be that the two rams are not ma'akiv each other. So we changed the pshat. We said that the rams doesn't mean it's not ma'akiv each other. They are ma'akiv each other. It's just not ma'akiv the one that's in Parshas Pinchas. So now when we read the Mishnah together, we have parim is talking about the bulls of Parshas Pinchas are not ma'akiv each other. When we come to the next clause of the Mishnah, it says rams. Rams is not talking about the rams of Pinchas because they don't have rams there. You only have rams in Parshas Emor. The rams of Parshas Emor are ma'akiv each other. So how do we mean it's not ma'akiv? So we said it's not ma'akiv the one in Parshas Pinchas. That means every word of this Mishnah is talking about something else. When it says Tana Mili Milik Tani, you're right. It's broken up into different. Yeah. Okay. What is it? You want to try it? You have a paper? Well, the paper that you're writing on? Oh, I just got a hold of Yitzi's paper.
Collectible. One of one.
Yeah, so we have, let's do, I guess I should write it in English. We would have, Parshas. We'll have, one bull, 2 rams, and 7 lambs. And then we have Parshas Pinchas. We have 2 bulls, 1 ram, 7 lambs. All right? Got that? The lambs are the same. The bulls are the number switch. The problem is that here in Parshas Emor, it says it's ma'akiv. How do I say ma'akiv? I'll say essential. What is that? A T? Essential, and this is non.
This is the only time of any of the sacrifices that they bring one bull?
Essential and non-essential. Sorry?
Is this the only time during any of the sacrifices they only bring one bull?
I'm not sure. I don't know. Okay, it says in the pasuk in Yecheskel. Yeah, we're continuing over here. Bayoim hachodesh. It says tikach par ben bakar. It says on the day of the month. It sounds like Rosh Chodesh. You should take a par ben bakar, a bull. Yeah. Tamim. I don't know if that's supposed to be there. Tamim v'shisha, and maybe it says tmimim. V'shisha tmimim v'sheshas kvasim v'ayel tmimim yiyu. So the order is a little different, but basically you have 6 lambs and one ram. This is talking about Rosh Chodesh. The problem is that if you look in Pinchas and Rosh Chodesh, Roshi Chodshechem, Harim b'nei bakar shnayim, says you bring two bulls. But here in Yecheskel, it says that you bring one bull.
What?
Between the males.
And by us it says 7. Yeah, that's a good point. Shiva. Okay. So the Gemara explains this. It says, par matamad laimar. What's it telling when it says a bull? It says fish number Torah parim. It says in the Torah that you bring bulls with a plural, right? Minayin shemle matzashnai maybe achad tamalim par. We learned from the pasuk in Yecheskel that if you don't have both, it's okay to bring one. I'm sorry, Shisha kvasim matamad laimar. It says 6 lambs. What is this coming to teach me? Fisha kasa b'Torah shiva. In Parshas by Midbar, yeah, we read on Rosh Chodesh that you bring 7. Minayin shel matzah shiva yavi shisha. How do you know that if you didn't find 7, you can still bring 6? Talmud Laimar Shisha. The pasuk in Yecheskel teaches me that it's not ma'akev. Minayin shel matzah shisha yavi chamisha yavi arba yavi shleisha yavi shnayim afilu echad. How do you know that you can go down and you bring just whatever you got? Talmud Laimar lakvasim kashetasik yadei. Pasuk after this in Yecheskel says the lambs according to what they have. If that's the case, so shisha kvasim lamali. So then why do you say 6? So it looked like 6 was a specific number. It says the kamadev shaladurim madrina. You try to bring as much as you can. That's what it's coming to tell me. Uminayim laelim shabateres kanim shema'akvim zeh. How do you know that the elim, that the rams of Teres Kainim of Parshas Emar are ma'akev? We said that there are 2. Talmud Laimar yiyu. The pasuk says yiyu. Okay, like we said before, that the rams of Parshas Emar are essential one to the other. And what we learned in the Mishnah was that it's not essential to it's not ma'akev the ones that the one ram that you bring in Parshas Pekudei and Parshas.
These are 3 males and this is 3 males.
Rams are males.
Right.
Right. They're both male. The bull is male and the rams are male, right? And the lambs, Kvasim, they're also male, Kvasim. Right? Also male lambs.
Lambs are female.
Could be.
Lambs are baby sheep.
Lambs are females? I didn't know that. No, I think in the Hebrew, in the Kvasais, I think would be female, and Kvasim, I think are male, and I think that's, yeah, I think so. Oh, yeah. Is that right? Is that correct?
Everything.
Ramesha? Kvasim means that they're male, right?
Did we go through this like early on? We knew what like.
Okay. Kayamar Hashem Elikim Barishan Bechad Lachedesh Tikach Par Ben Bakar Tamim V'chitesa Es HaMikdash. Yeah, V'chitesa. It says, so says Hashem Elikim. On the first day of the first of the month, you should take a Par Ben Bakar. That means a bull, a young bull. Yeah, perfect. And you should chitesa, and you should purify the mikdash. Chitesa. It says chitesa like as if this is a chatas. Oilahi. This is not a chatas. This is an oila, right? The what's brought in on Rosh Chodesh. It says takrivu oila. Says you bring an oila, not a chatas. So the Gemara says Amar Rabbi Yochanan Parsha Zu Eliyahu Asad L'Darsha. This chapter of Yecheskel, Eliyahu is going to explain it, which basically means that we don't know the pshat. You have to wait, be patient. Yeah, it says Eliyahu. You mean the full name? Eliyahu? And Eliyahu means Eliyahu Navi. Rav Ashi Amar Miluim Ekrivu B'mei Ezra that this was a special sacrifice. It's not talking about a typical Rosh Chodesh sacrifice. It's talking about the Miluim that was going to be done for the second base of Mikdash, just like Miluim means inauguration sacrifices, which could be different than the typical one. So too, in the days of Ezra, which means by the second base of Mikdash, they were going to bring Miluim. Tani Nami Hachi. It was also taught in the Bryce exactly this machlekes that we just have between Rabbi Yochanan, that says Eliyahu is going to need to explain it, and Rav Ashi. Well, that's a huge gap in generations. So the Bryce says, Rabbi Yehuda, Parshas Eliyahu Asad Ladasha. Amalei Rabbi Yosi says to Rabbi Yehuda, they were friends. Miluim ekrivim me'ezek derech ekrivim be'maisha. Amalei tenuach daitcha shinach des daiti. You can be relaxed, that you've relaxed my mind. Okay.
Man.
This is a famous Gemara coming up. This next piece. Which parsha do we read this Haftarah about the Kayanim? Is it Parshas Emor? We read the Haftarah from Yecheskel, one of the parshas, and there's like a bunch of contradictions in there that it doesn't match with what it says in the Torah. So this is a famous one. It says Kol nevelu treifa min ha'oif min ha'behema lo yechlu ha'kayanim. It says any nevela or treifa from the birds or from the animals, the Kayanim can't eat it. Mar asks the obvious question. This means that the Kayanim can't eat it, but the Yisrael is allowed to eat it. So Rabbi Yochanan says, we're going to need Eliyahu Navi to answer this one. Ravina Amar, also another huge gap in generations. Ravina says, Kayanim, it's Shichlei. No, there's a Chiddush over here. It's necessary to say Kayanim. I could have thought that since the Kayanim are allowed to eat the bird that was killed with the fingernail, but they're allowed to have malika. So Tishrei Nami Nevelu Treifa, so they could also eat other animals that were died in other ways. Kamash Malan, so therefore the pasuk says that they're not allowed to eat the Velu Treifa, the Kayanim. You could have thought that maybe there was a dispensation for Kayanim to eat. Well, B'chein Tasa B'Shiva B'Chedesh Mi Ish Shoiga Mi Pesi V'Chipartim Esabayas. So I'm sorry. Yeah. So you should do on the 7th of the month, from a mistake, someone that makes a mistake, from a fool, and you will atone the house. So the Gemara explains the pasuk. What does it mean? B'Shiva b'Chedesh. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Elu Shiva Shvatim Shechatu. Shiva, when it says Shiva, 7, it's actually not referring to the 7th of the month. It's talking about 7 tribes that sinned. And what happens then? If the majority of the congregation sins, they have to bring a special type of chatas. So Elu Shiva Shvatim, this is Rabbi Yochanan saying, Shiva Shvatim Shechatu. Afal Pi Shein Ruba Shel Kol, even if it's not the majority of the congregation, but it's the majority of the tribes. Remember, we had 2 ways: majority of the congregation, or the majority of the tribes. It could have gone both ways.
Is this the first reference to an electoral?
Interesting.
Because that's what?
The political statement. Electoral votes, right?
Yeah.
Then it goes on. It says B'Chodesh. It says Im Chidshu v'Amru Chelev Mutter. If they came up, Chodesh doesn't mean month over here. Chodesh means Chidshu. They came up with a novel interpretation, and they said that usually Chelev is Aser, but this Chelev, this forbidden fat, this is permissible. Miyish Shoigim Mipesi means that it was a mistake. Which means that this sacrifice would only be an obligation if it was a mistake, with a mistake of the Sanhedrin plus a mistake of the congregation that followed them, which the congregation followed through. Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rav. Rabbi Yehuda says the name of his teacher Rav Zachar Eisos Latoiv. We have to remember this fellow for good. It says V'Chananya ben Chizkiya Shmai. I thought he had more names than that. I thought his name was Hanani ben Chizkiya ben something. Hanani ben Chizkiya was his name. Shalmalihu Nigna Sefer Yecheskel. If not for him, Yecheskel would have been put into Shemus. Because we have contradictions between the book of Yecheskel to what it says clearly in the Torah. Ma'asa, what did he do that we're going to thank him so much? So we're going to praise him. Hela shalish meis gar bishemen v'yashav ba'aliyah v'darshu. He took 300 jugs of oil, and he went up into an attic, and he learned it very well, and he explained all the contradictions, and he clarified. And because of that, we have Sefer Yecheskel.
This is famous addict, right?
There were other addicts.
Not
Yeah.
addict.
No, not addict. This is not the same addict.
I don't think so.
Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai met before.
Oh, maybe. Hanani ben Chizkiah. Let me see the Gemara Shabbos.
Why are you so sure it's no? No.
No.
What addict? The coke addict?
Is this where Alicia out when he went over to that house?
No. You know, just like when we say Sabo, I remember, I think this the addict.
Alicia and the jugs of oil. Also, that guy hung out at an addict. Addicts, right? We don't really have addicts in Florida.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. The Gemara Shabbos said the attic of Hanani ben Chizkiah ben Goran. So that's the next name. That's the other name. Hanani ben Chizkiah ben Goran. What was he doing up there? No, the Gemara Shabbos.
Hiding out, smoking a cigarette.
Woo! Doc Stein.
That was the
Yeah. The Gemara over here says, Amar Rabbi Yehuda Marav, Brahma Zecher Eisesh L'Tayv, Hanani ben Chizkiah Shmai. He explained all the contradictions. Where do they quote this from?
Where's that?
Menachos Memhei.
Never saw it on a tour of Israel.
There is a guy that gives a tour of just the Tanoim and those. Okay. Reb Shimon. Oh, because he needed basically, if someone would say that they're going away somewhere, so they would say, well, they packed a bunch of sardines and they went somewhere and they didn't have to open their door, they could just stay in the room. So what he did was he took oil. That means he had enough electricity but he had enough light just to sit and learn for hours.
And sardines.
Yeah, the oil.
Sardines and oil.
Oh, nothing better.
So, I'm Reb Shimon. Talking about food on a fast day. I'm Reb Shimon. Reb Shimon says that if there were many parim, so you only bring the amount that you would have for nesachim for. Tanarabanan veifala par veifala el yasim mincha v'lakvasim kashetasi yadei v'shemen hileifa. Says you bring an ephah for a par. Ephah is a large amount. We do a serious ephah, right? We do like a tenth of an ephah. This is a shleish esrainim maybe, but this is a full ephah. Ephah lapar, ephah for the anayal, and for the kvasim as a person is able to, and shemen hin for each ephah. Reb Shimon. Reb Shimon says v'chiparim ve'elam achasi. You have the same amount for a bull and for a ram. Over here we're saying an ephah for each. Really, what we have is shleisha esreinim lapar, shnei esreinim l'ayil. We have 2/10. We have 3/10 of an ephah for a bull. We have 2/10 of an ephah for an ayil. It's different. Ella, rather, is coming to tell us. It's coming to teach us that if you have parim merubim, many bulls, but you didn't have nesachim, but then you view parechad or nesachim, you bring one bull together with its full amount that the libations. Well, you can cool them below nesachim, and you don't bring them all without nesachim. Now, how do we learn that from this? Let me go further. Vim hayu lahem elam merubim, v'lei hayu lahem efasan. And if you had many rams, but you didn't have the amount of flour that's supposed to go with it, so then yavi ayalachas veifasa yibleif kulam bleifas. You don't bring many without the flour that comes with it. So therefore, what it says efa lapar, efa la'ayal, means that you limit it to the ones that have the flour that goes with it. Let me take a look at your comment, not the. So it says like this: although the Brisa speaks of nesachim in regard to the bulls and menacha in regard to the rams, the law is the same for all nesachim and menacha. So they're commenting on a different piece. The verse in Ezekiel is not teaching us the proper measurement for the minchas nesachim of the bull or the ram. Rather, it tells us generally that each bull should have its ephah, its mincha, in the proper measure. The kohanim had limited funds. It is preferable that they buy fewer animals with each of its appropriate mincha nesachim rather than more animals without their minchas nesachim. The lack of hazard by the verse mention of only one bull, when the musafim generally include two bulls. Okay, that's another commentary. Okay. Let's leave it over here. And we're stopped at the Mishnah of Apart Male and Apart.
So
This is the big sugya of
a lamb can be a male or female, but it's young. It's very
Yeah.
young. It's like a 2-year-old.
right.
Baby. Married out of a lamb.
And the sheep can be male or female, but they're like not old enough to breed.
Hard.
And a ram is old enough to breed.
Probably.
Looked it up.
Yeah, okay.
We'll have to digitize.
Very good. Where do you look it up?
You're not an artist.
Have a easy fast, everyone. Feilach and Purim.
Thank you.